What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Webb, Karana. Some here official thanks thing we doing over here. Reg Lewis, one of the big homies, man. I just remember, being at a Mac Club or what have you here, just looking up to these guys that were walking these hallways way before me or what have you here, man. And Reg was definitely one of them, man. Cool too, man. We always thought Reg was real cool, man, and still is too. So I'm just like taken back and just humbled by him just being willing to jump on and just talk a little bit here. So I'm looking forward to this. So this whole tight. Hey, Reg, what's up, man?
What's going on, Ed?
Nah, ain't nothing, man. I appreciate this, man. Totally 1,000 and quadrillion%, man. Thank you for doing this, man.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for having me, bro. Thank you for having me.
And I'm sure even years later, man, you still that guy that like to be in the cut and everything. So I appreciate you even willing to talk a little bit, man. So you don't know how. If I'm correct, you probably still that guy too, man. So thank you.
Yeah. Some things never change.
Yeah, nah. First and foremost, man, family, everybody holding up, everybody doing well.
Everybody is well. Knock on wood. Thanks for asking. Yeah, we're maintaining, getting ready for school again. A couple of weeks.
Okay.
Coming up. So we had a pretty busy season with AAU. Finally getting back up in full effect. I got twin girls that are playing ball, so that was a busy season for us from May until July. But yeah, everything is doing well.
Nah, good, man. And you looking like the young one here. You see me all this white and gray, man. You looking younger here. You the older one too.
Nah, brother. Nah. I just shaved. I just shaved all my gray. That's all that was.
Nah. And you talk about how crazy of a season was it? I mean, I know just traveling up and down these highways, man. How's it been?
It was a tiring season, but it was fun. It was fun. It's funny. I get to almost relive my youth, so to speak, through my daughters. So watching them play and seeing their growth and development, and seeing some of the mistakes that they made, and also seeing some of the the achievements that they're making. It's a good thing. It's keeps me connected to the game of basketball. I think I missed that prior to my involvement, should I say, as a coach and working with them. So it's good.
Oh, you're coaching them too, or are you just being a dad? Which one?
Yeah, no. So I've been coaching them. I guess for the past 4 or 5 seasons now.
Okay.
Yeah, we first year that they started AAU with a team locally here out of Central Jersey called the New Jersey Cardinals, and they would just play. They were just fill-ins. They weren't officially on a team. They were just fill-ins. And the following season, there was a collective, myself and a couple of other girl dads who were actively coaching and wanted to make certain that they were getting the proper training and whatnot. So we came together and we were like, let's come together under the Cardinals umbrella and see if we can, coach a team and coach our daughters and bring some other players along with them. So yeah, I've been coaching them for the past at least like five or 6 seasons with the AAU program. Well, I mean 4 or 5 seasons, excuse me, with the AAU program. So it's been good.
Now, how'd that go over at the crib, man? I mean, especially you talking about this ain't just one player. This is 2 athletes here, and plus yourself here, man. Like, I mean, them car rides or the crib. I mean, like you still in good standing over there.
So this year we transitioned. Last year, past 3 seasons, I was head coach with New Jersey Cardinals. The Cardinals joined forces with another program, and there was some shifting and movement going on. So we moved over to a new team, not a new team. They've been around for a while, but a new team for us, Team Elevation. So I'm the assistant coach now. So I think the dynamic is a lot easier. When I was the head coach and I'm ripping into them, there was some some games and some tournaments where they were like, they don't want to talk to me. And, one of my daughters in particular was like, I'm quitting the team.
Yeah,
I don't like the coach.
Yeah, don't like the coach.
So yeah, it was the older they get, there's a little more friction. So I enjoy the fact that, now being with this new program and being an assistant, I get to allow, the other coach. And I told my partner Rex, I was like, listen, lay into them whenever you need to, because I think it'll resonate more coming from you than with me.
Right.
I got to go home.
Right. And I know a lot of, parents that have been coaches or what have you, but it's like, or not even coaching, but I think just in general, you're showing them certain things that you've been through it. It sounds different hearing it from somebody else, but you're saying the same thing.
Exactly. It's funny because I had that conversation with a number of former players, teammates and former players, and they were like, you could say the same thing that their head coach, their high school coach, or whomever, and it resonates more, it sticks more. I was like, I understand, because they didn't know me as a coach or a former player. They knew me as dad. So in their eyes, in their minds, that's who I am as dad. So I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. And how's the whole AAU says it's different these days, man. I know I joke around, man, like everybody got a squad, man. I think my grandmother, who's no longer with us, man, I think she still got a squad, man. Like everybody got a team, and I mean, how's it been?
It's a lot. It's amazing. It's a lot of teams out there. There's a lot of talent out there, to be honest with you. But there's a lot of good ball, but there's a lot of bad basketball as well. One of the things I don't like about the circuit, the AAU circuit, is that oftentimes they showcase the premier players. So you have a team with like one or two girls who can rock, and they dominate. They take the majority of the shots. They ball hog. To me, it takes away from the fundamentals of the game. So I one of the reasons why I liked the transition that we made, moving over to the team that we're with now, Team Elevation. Team Elevation is there's a lot of a greater chemistry, and synergy within the team, and we preach the fundamentals of teamwork and playing defense, which is another thing that in the AAU circuit is not always honed in upon, but playing defense, the rebounding, sharing the ball, that kind of thing. So.
Now I'm just gonna kind of switch gears slightly, man. Just with everything, like I know you grew up in Orange, spent some time in Orangeburg. Are you originally from Orange, or you was born and raised?
Born and raised down in the valley. So I'm matter of fact, I still got roots there. My the house that I was born and raised in, my mom and I still own that. So we're renting it out. I'm in the process now of doing some renovations to one of the units to try and get somebody in there. But yeah, born and raised, started off at Forest Street Elementary School, and eventually moved over to Our Lady of the Valley, which closed up many moons ago. But that was my elementary school coming up.
Now, even so, growing up, man, like, how was you as a kid?
So I was always pretty much the way I am now, fun loving, easygoing, good natured. I was always the tallest kid in my grade. So people oftentimes, thought that I was older than I was. Excuse me. So that was a good and a bad thing, depending on the scenario and the circumstances that I found myself in. But yeah, I was always easy to get along with, fun loving kind of guy, just enjoying life, always athletic. I started off playing football in my early. Yeah. A lot of people don't know. Football was my first love, man. My father was a Jets fan coming off of the Joe Namath era, back in the late '60s. So I'm born in '71, and so I'd be sitting down, watching TV with pops, and football game was on, and I found myself engrossed by it, and it's funny. My parents took a picture of me when I was I think it was like 3 or 4 years old, and I had a cooking pot on my head. That was my helmet. So that that was from as early as I can remember, football was like my first love. And I was one of the things I wanted to do, in my athletic pursuits.
Then even back then, I mean, I know you talk about the Valley. Are you near Metcalf?
So so I'm on Forest Street. So
Okay.
Metcalf is like about 20 blocks away from me.
Okay.
So yeah, I was closer to, like, when I got a little older, I would venture closer to like Orange Park.
Okay.
It was probably, I mean, Metcalf was probably a shorter distance from me, but at that time it was like, I would gravitate to Orange Park as opposed to Metcalf. Plus all the action was with Orange Park.
Over, yeah. And
yeah.
You mentioned football. Anything else, man? You want any other interests as a kid, man? Like that sparked you here?
Yeah. I mean, so I played all sports. I mean, back in the day, that was one of the. It's funny because I had a conversation with some guys that I grew up with, and I was like, back in the days, we played everything: football, baseball, basketball. It was like, it was year round. We just went from one sport to the next. But now, nowadays kids are very, central and focused on, one sport, maybe two sports, but that's about it. So, yeah, I played a gamut of different sports. For me, it was just trying to stay in shape for, again, football season, which was my first love. So, it was just always doing something to, stay active, stay, even, just going outside playing, kickball or wiffle ball or whatever. We stayed outside,
Now,
playing.
organized wise, like teams or what have you, when did you get involved? Was football the first organized sport you played, or?
Yeah. So for me, I moved, born and raised in Orange. My family, my pops, moms, and I, we moved to Maryland when I was middle of my third grade semester. So I started playing football down in Owens Mills, Maryland. So that's where I got introduced to organized football, and I did well down there. It's funny because my first season playing, I was nominated as one of the MVPs on the team. So I was like, okay, I had some good success early on, and my parents would my mom would take me to there used to be a camp called Offense Defense, which was out of Connecticut back in the days, which is where you're at now, I know. But they had pro athletes that would come through and give speeches and watch the performance. So I got a chance to meet Joe Klecko and Drew Pearson.
Speaking of the Jets, huh?
Yeah, exactly. So that was, for me, that was like heaven on earth. I was like, man, I get a chance to practice and play football in front of some of the guys that I idolize. I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. So
what position did you play?
So I was wide receiver. Wide receiver.
Okay.
Yeah. I wanted to be, so I aspired to be Drew Pearson, a taller version of Drew Pearson. Harold Carmichael, maybe.
Okay, yeah, number 17, Eagles, absolutely.
But yeah, so I, like I said, football was my first love, and I saw myself going in that direction until I had an injury my freshman year of high school at Immaculate. Pops was like, you need to make a career change.
Yeah.
He put the ultimatum on me. He was like, listen, yeah. It was my first scrimmage, actually. First scrimmage of freshman year. And I wasn't even supposed to play because I was nursing a Achilles injury.
Okay.
But they put me in for the last play of the game. They were like, they put me on defense. They were like, put you in there. Let's see what you can do. And I'm coming around the corner, coming around the edge as a defensive end, coming in to sack the quarterback. Joker hit me in right above my knee, fractured. I was out for 2.5 months, laid up with a cast, full body cast, up, that went up to my hips, and I was miserable, man.
I can only imagine, man. And Reg, it's crazy. I never knew you played football.
Yeah, man. Yep. That was, I'm telling you, that was my first love. Had I not been injured, who knows what could have happened? But that's how life goes. But
then at round ball, when did you start, taking a liking to that?
So that came by default. it's funny because when I was younger, I hated basketball
Mm.
because for one thing, I felt like I was always stereotyped. Tall
Yeah.
black boy. People would see me in the streets, and it's like, especially when they found out how young I was, and they're like, "Oh, you must be a basketball player."
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, I can do something else besides just play basketball. Like, no. Plus, the other fact was that I wasn't coordinated enough to dribble and run at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
So yeah, I hated basketball, man. I went to basketball by default. I started playing basketball organized in sixth grade, down in the valley.
Okay.
That was just to keep me in shape until football season came back around. I was like, just something to do to keep the blood flowing and keep me in shape. So, but I was good at it. I was always tall. Offensively, I was afraid to shoot the ball because my shot was horrible. But defensively, I could block shots, rebound. I was quick, agile. So, they you could play defense and rebound. And with the height that I think when I graduated from the eighth grade, I was 6'2.5".
Okay.
So having that kind of size, it was like, okay, yeah, we gonna put you in the game.
Nah, I hear you, man. And I know you mentioned the Valley, so that whole CYO thing, man. You guys playing everybody, the who's of the circuit here, man. And
Yep.
then even with the whole high school thing, man, was it just the whole taking the test thing with the whole Immaculate Essex, or
Mm-hmm.
was it one of those things, or did you just did you want to go somewhere else besides Immaculate, or was that going to be it?
So yeah, Immaculate was pretty much it. It was at the time it was Essex Catholic,
Mm-hmm.
Seton Hall, or Immaculate, and Essex Catholic and Seton Hall were all boys.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I was like, nah, I need some female representation in the school segment.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I was a Mac or anything, but I
Oh,
wanted
yeah,
to meet girls.
it helps.
I wanted to
It
meet girls.
helps. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Wanted to be a girl. So that was for me. It was the distance was a little something to try and get over. But aside from that, it was like, okay, I can do this.
Now you mentioned the whole football, basketball. So you get there, like even with basketball, you playing varsity immediately, or are you still figuring this whole thing out?
So with basketball, again, I got injured playing football my freshman year. So I was out until I came back from my injury like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Okay.
So I was done from basketball. See, they had me working the books, doing the table, stuff like that my freshman year, but that was about it. So my sophomore year was the first year that I actually played basketball in high school. They had me splitting time between JV and varsity.
Mm-hmm.
I was still real wet behind the ears when it came to playing. My offensive skills again were a season behind where I should have been. So I got most of my playing time in JV, and then like I said, they put me in some varsity games, especially like postseason games, to add some defensive power and rebounding. But yeah, offensively they needed guys who could score the ball. So Lee Mullins and Anthony Easton and some of those guys were dominating primarily for the varsity team my sophomore year. By junior year, of course, it was my time to move on up. So
because you come in and you said 6'2" as a freshman, so sophomore and junior, you obviously continue to grow a little bit more.
Yeah. I topped out about 6'5" and some change, 6'6". So yeah, I grew a couple more inches, but yeah, so they had me playing a low post position, and that was right up my alley as far as my skill set was concerned. Blocking shots, getting rebounds, playing on the post, doing a lot of the dirty work.
Now working on your game, I mean, back then I know it's different from now how probably young athletes do, man. Was it just you just playing in the parks, or did you do some stuff individually on your own, or?
So yeah, so for me it was just playing in the parks. To your comment, we get up, go over to Orange Park, go to Savo Park. We go all over looking for the best pickup games. So it was just like, especially Sunday mornings, we get up early, or Saturdays get up early, go hit the parks. And back then it was like if you lost, you were sitting for
Yeah.
at least an hour, hour and a
Yeah.
half, 2 hours, waiting for your next time to get on the court. So Jokers was out there balling hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was primarily what I did. I really didn't understand individual development until I got into college and working on my game and really, trying to refine my skills. So yeah, but back then for me it was just again just going out and playing,
Yeah.
this park, that park, open gyms, wherever good pickup games was at. That's pretty much where we gravitated to.
Yeah, and this is even interesting as far as obviously some of them teams that you had. You mentioned the Anthony Easons, you got the Lance Bostons, the Lee Mullins, and
Yeah.
everything else. So I understand like you're not getting too much, too many shots. So I mean, me out of all people shouldn't be saying that, but like I said, but I understand. But when you think about as far as why like potentially like this might save my parents a couple dollars here, man. When did that start to like resonate?
Yeah. So again, for me, it was always football. I was squarely focused on football. When I got the injury my freshman year, Pops sat me down. Was like, listen, he was like, you played one play your freshman year, and you were out for 2.5 months. He was like, you get back out there again, it could be something even more catastrophic than that. So he was like, you need to either look at track, look at basketball. He was like, you got the height, you got the athleticism, utilize that to your advantage. He was like, because mom and dad don't have, college tuition available for you. Like, we'll help out, but you're gonna have to pull this on your own. So I'm like, okay, I get it. And playing again, I aspired to be a professional athlete. So I was like, okay, if it can't be a football, let me see what I can do, within the basketball realm. So for me, it was like, okay, sophomore year, going into my junior year is when I really began to take it more seriously. Like, all right, I played. Back then they had a organization called Prep Stars.
Preps, okay, I remember that name. Yes.
Yeah, and they had teams from all over East Orange, Newark, teams all up and down the East Coast. So I went out for Prep Stars, made the team, and so we went down. We had a tournament down in Washington that year. So we played down there. We played a couple of teams from Boston and teams from New York. I think we played teams from Baltimore. So it was good, to get a chance to see, get some exposure and get a chance to see players from, from other states. It was like, okay, wow, this is, because oftentimes I felt like I was a big fish in a small pond, especially being at Immaculate, but having that kind of exposure and seeing jokers, just as tall as me, who could jump just as high as me and run just as fast as me. I'm like, okay, I can't just rely upon, my athleticism. I really got to work on, developing my game. So
and then with Prep Stars and I think with everything else here, man, like again, your last year, man, again, you guys are very talented. I mean, who's who as far as on that squad here, man. But you start garnering some interest with the whole college thing, man. Just how's that feeling, man?
It was good. So I really started getting recruited my junior year. It's funny because I got a letter from Florida State. And I'm like, this is it. I was like, pack the bags, I'm gone. I didn't really understand. My parents had never been, gone through that experience, and I had a cousin that played football at Syracuse. I probably should have tapped into him a little more to understand the dynamics of college recruiting. But for me, I thought, okay, I got a recruitment letter from some prominent universities. I was like, I'm going. And so that was junior year. Senior year, I had, we really didn't hit the mark that we wanted to hit collectively as a team, and I certainly didn't, hit the marks that I wanted to hit as an individual. So the letter started to shrivel up, and this this teammate got accepted or signed his letter of intent to go to this university, and another one signed to go. And I'm sitting here like, what the hell am I going to do? So it was a scary feeling because I'm like, all right, don't tell me that I'm gonna have to go to JUCO or go to a prep school to try and get myself ready. But Ironically enough, Coach Fest one day after practice, Coach Fest had a couple of extra tickets for a doubleheader college basketball game. Seton Hall was playing in the first game, and then the second game was FDU versus this team called St. Francis.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, gave me, he was like, I can't use the tickets if you want to go check it out. He was like, go ahead. So me and Kobe went over to the game after practice. And so we're checking, watching the game and whatnot. And I'm sitting there watching, it was at the Meadowlands back in the days. I'm sitting there watching the game and I'm like, wow, this is Division I basketball. I was like, I could do this. I could play at this level. So anyway, long story short, Coach Fest had sent some of my highlight tapes to the school, St. Francis University. It was college back then, but St. Francis University in Pennsylvania sent the tapes over. I got a phone call and they were like, hey, I want to bring you up for a visit. We like what we saw. I'm like, I had no idea. He didn't tell me that he didn't even set the tapes. I was like, okay. So, I went out for a recruiting visit, liked the campus. I was like, and I liked the fact that they played, a lot of the schools from the area, FDU and Wagner and St. Francis, New York. So I was like, okay, I get a chance to, play games in front of my family, but still, be able to get out of state, and play at the Division I level. So I was like, okay. So it was a good feeling for me. It was a godsend. I was happy that I had the opportunity.
Remember that day you signed?
I remember vaguely. I remember signing the paperwork. My mom was at the table with me, and she's all teary-eyed.
That's all right, man. That's all right.
She was happy for me, and Pops was congratulating me too. It was like, like I said, I was one of the few in the family that had an opportunity to go to college, and especially on a full scholarship. So that was a blessing. It's a blessing.
Now, PA, I mean, obviously, the part of PA you was in is a little different from Orange, New Jersey, man. So that transition, man. Again, I know you're excited. Obviously, you got full ride, everything else, but you still trying to grow up and like you in a whole nother world, man. Like when you get on campus, like
brother,
you
talk about culture shock.
Yeah.
I mean, at Immaculate, it was a diverse community that we went to school with. You had white, black, Hispanic, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there it was predominantly white. There was little sprinkling of black. Most of the African Americans that were there were on athletic teams. Football, basketball, soccer, what have you, track and field. So yeah, it was a different environment for me to come up with. Matter of fact, my freshman year, I had reached out to my best friend. I'm like, man, I want to come home. I was like, I want to come home, man. I'm like,
this before basketball season started?
Yeah. So this was right before the season had kicked off, and I'm like, I don't know if I can fit in here. It's I can't get no radio stations.
That was real back then. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, I just felt like a fish out of water. I'm like, I don't know if I can adjust. But once basketball season kicked in, we were, practicing and playing, traveling. I'm like, it was like, okay, I can do it now. I was like, because it took me, again, brought me back to New York, New Jersey area for a lot of our games and tournaments. And it was like, okay, even though I'm away, I still get a chance to, get that flavor from home. So what I started doing, this is back in the day, of course, before satellite radio and all the nuances of technology nowadays, I would come home, let's say for a weekend, and I would just tape record the entire broadcast from BLS or KISS or whatever. Mm-hmm. I recorded. I had 12 cassette tapes. I just record them, and I go back to school with and just play it. And it reminded me of home. It felt like I was listening to a live broadcast. So it's funny, some of the things.
The Maxwell tapes. Absolutely.
The Maxwell tape. Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, man. With school academics and obviously socially, you're trying to figure. And then basketball, you probably these ain't immaculate practices that you're going to. Like was that a struggle too, just to as far as even playing basketball now?
Yeah. So it's funny because my freshman year, young lady that I was dating in high school, we had just broken up, like right before basketball season. So I'm in a new environment, new world. I'm trying to figure out, trying to navigate this new environment, and now I broke up with my girlfriend. So I just poured all of my energy into like just playing basketball. I was like, that was my outlet. And so the practices for me was kind of like, almost like healing, because got me to focus on something else other than what I was going through. So it was good. We had tough practices. Like you said, it's a lot different from practicing in that small gym on Cottage Street up in Montclair.
Yeah.
You start doing 16 and 60s and suicides, and you're like, man, this felt like an NBA size gym in comparison to where I came from. So yeah, it was night and day. I had to ramp up quick. I had to ramp up quick. But again, my freshman year, I actually I did well. I averaged like 28 minutes a game.
Okay.
And I think I was averaging like 7 or 8 rebounds a game. So I mean, I was putting in work. I was getting some good recognition, putting in work, and I was starting towards the latter part of the season. So for me, it was like, okay, I can do this. I can play at this level.
And then y'all, if our memory serves me right, you had some success team wise too. Y'all made it. I made it. I won the conference tournament or did something. Made it to the dance.
So my freshman year, we fell short. My sophomore year, we went to the NCAA's. We won the. That year, we had to win not only our conference but a play-in game as well in order to get into the tournament. Sadly enough, though, I got injured midway through the season. I had a stretch fracture in my left shin, so I ended up missing the second half of the season. I still traveled with the team and whatnot, but yeah, we got to enjoy the revelry of making it to the NCAA's. We went out to Salt Lake City and played Arizona that year.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't get a chance to actually get on the court and participate. That was one of the heartbreakers of my college career, was that I didn't get a chance to finish off that season that year. But yeah, it was good, great experience nonetheless.
Now you get back up and running. I mean, you shared a little bit ago, like your goal was to play some sport professionally, man. Is that still going in your mind as you're there? Like, hey, how can I figure this out?
Yep, absolutely. So that's when I really started to hone in on, okay, I gotta ramp this thing up, and some of the guys that played the previous years had gone on. One of my good friends got picked up. He had gotten picked up by the Boston Celtics, Joe Anderson. So he was playing, and well, he wasn't playing with the Celtics. He was trying out in their farm system, and Mike Izzolina was another guy on the team that actually did make it to the league. Played with the Mavericks for a couple of years, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, he was so yeah, it was like, okay, these guys are gone. We got big shoes to fill. We got to step up. So I started working on my game, trying to develop myself offensively. Because defense was still a staple of my game. So just working on offensive, handling the ball. Again, transitioning from immaculate, I was playing center position back in the day. So now it's like I'm 6'5", 6'6". You got to step out to a guard spot, a 3-man spot. So it was like, okay, I gotta step up and really be able to expand my game to be able to step out on the perimeter. So that was a challenge for me to move from the painted area to most times I play like 3-4, depending on the personnel. But yeah, it was.
Nah, interesting you say that as far as having just to adjust. So even with that now, does your workout, your regiment, does it change? Obviously, you're not at the playgrounds every day or every other day. Like, so how you putting in that work?
Yeah, so I mean, at that time, with college, it was funny because during the off seasons when I would come home, um, I was working over at Seton Hall at the basketball camp. PJ Colissimo had a basketball camp, for kids, and so my coach had reached out to him and said, hey, we got a local guy. He's coming back home. He wants to work your camp. So I started working the camps over at Seton Hall and developed a relationship with one of the assistants. And I said, listen, I'm trying to work out. I'm trying to train. Can I come over and work out with you guys? In the evenings or what have you. So he was like, yeah, come on over. We play pickup. Yada yada yada. So Terry DeHare was there. A lot of the players from previous years, Mark Bryant, and some of those guys from the previous years would come back as well. So we played pickup games and, working out, lifting weights. So I got a chance, an opportunity to utilize their facilities over at Seton Hall, during those times and work out with some of their players and train. So it was good. It was like, all right, I saw a different level of training and what it takes to really make it and succeed, from a Big East perspective. So I was like, okay, I got work to do.
Now, doing all that, man, how did that just translate over to going back to St. Francis, though, those later years, those junior, senior years? How did that work out?
It was good. It was being being in that atmosphere at Seton Hall and training and playing against those guys really gave me the confidence that, if I can play like this, in pickup games and ball out, I should be able to do it, in regular season as well. So it really helped me in my later stages, as far as expanding my presence on the offensive end of the court. We had some good teams. We never got back to the dance, but we had some competitive teams in my last couple of years.
Yeah. So. That last game you're done, like what now? Like, well, I mean, again, like, because it's tough, man. Like, I'm sure just being, playing at a high level and for it to be done or possibly done here, like, what I'm going to do next. Again, I'm sure you're still managing the academic piece, but sometimes when that clock hit all zeros, people don't realize it till it hits it.
That's one of the things that I preach to my kids. I said, listen, I don't know, what the future is for you as far as basketball is concerned. I said, but whenever you hang those sneakers up, you want to be able to walk away with the feeling that you left it all on the court. So for me, it was like I felt like there was still more to my story. One of my teammates, excuse me, who was graduating same year as I, he had an agent. He's from Canada, so he had an agent from Canada as well, and he put me in touch with him. He was like, listen, he might be able to do something for you as far as, trying to get you a gig overseas. So reached out to him, made the contact. He was like, yeah. He was like, let me sign you up. He was like, the challenge for me was my scoring average. I think I only averaged maybe it was under 10 points a game, maybe like 8 points a game, 6 points a game. So I still wasn't scoring at a high volume, but I was like, I felt more and more confident, the latter part of my career. So I said, well, listen, find some place for me to go where, I can grow and develop and mature into, that type of player. So he called me up one day. He's like, listen, I got a gig for you to go over to Switzerland. I'm like, wow. He's like, get your passport ready, get your stuff together. He said the team that you're going to be going to had a guy who was the leading scorer for them. He said, so they're looking to fill that void. He's like, can you put up 20 points a game? And I was like, listen, that's I haven't proven it up until this point. I said, but I'm working, I'm developing. Put me in the mix and let me see what I can do.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, he was like, okay, I'm gonna call you back. He said, with the final details of when you're supposed to be leaving. A couple of weeks later, he called me back and he's like, listen, the guy that was supposed to have been retiring decided he's gonna come back for one more season. So the team's gonna, rock with him. He was like, but I'm working on some other stuff for you. Keep in shape, keep working out, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, long story short, September comes, all the guys go overseas. I'm still training and playing, doing my thing here. I'm playing over in the league over in New York, and came down. I got a steal. I'm driving down the court. I go to make a move, and all of a sudden my leg gives out on me. So I'm laying on the ground. I'm like, I've never experienced this kind of pain in my life. I'm like, what's going on? So get up, I leave. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, had a stick shift, and I had to drive back from New York in the stick shift. With my leg all messed up. I'm like, fortunately, it was my left leg, not the right.
Okay.
Anyway, long story short, I ended up tearing my ACL. Found out that I tore my ACL, so I'm out of commission now. I had to get the surgery and try and rehab and train, and I'm working too. I'm working. Had started working full time at Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So I'm working and I'm doing that. Trying to rehab. It was just like it took me a good 18 months to fully recover from that injury. So it really derailed my training altogether. So I reached out to the agent. It was like, listen, go ahead. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be, ready to rock and roll. It's time to go again. So I said, just this might be it for me. If something comes up, let me know. But otherwise, it is what it is. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned, your then girlfriend, now wife, man. But I mean, I know just kind of looking back, just even have her holding you down, and I think just even that whole transition, it probably didn't end the way you wanted it to, but in the same breath, you ended it by playing, regardless of the injury happening or not, man.
Right.
So we doing the rest of our life. And from there on in, man, you have Blue Cross Blue Shields, or you just
yeah. So from there, I got busy with Blue Cross, and fortunately, it was an opportunity for me to earn a living and it's continuing my growth and development, in a different aspect of life. Had never envisioned. It's funny. I'm like, I've passed by the building, hundreds of times, as a kid going back and forth from Newark, from Orange to Newark, shopping or whatever, and never envisioned myself, being employed there. But there I was. So like, okay, make the most of it. Make the most of it.
Nah, definitely, man. What even with sports, man, what has it given you that sticks with you to this day?
So, it's funny, man, because I talked to, the team, my daughters in particular, but the team, in general, about one of the beautiful things I love about sports is just the fact that it teaches us life lessons.
Yes.
That's transferable and relatable to any walk of life that we go on. Teamwork, setting goals, self-confidence, and developing self-confidence in yourself. How to deal with adversity, which is a part of life, as you well know, right? How do you bounce back, from a tough loss? How do you bounce back from making a mistake on the court? From not doing as well as what you had hoped to do. How do you bounce back from that? So those experiences, those life lessons that I learned on the basketball court and even football as well. From football and basketball. To me, it really built my character as far as how I relate and how I am. When things start to get topsy-turvy for me in life, I find myself gravitating like, all right, I got to go hit the gym. I got to go pump some iron. I got to, I got to, as opposed to like, going to get a drink or, getting into some other things that might derail my life, my lifestyle. And try and find, some positive ways of getting, outlets and to continue to build myself. So.
Nah, most definitely, man. Most definitely. And I know you might have saw one or two of these, man. Like got to throw you on the spot a little bit, man.
Sure.
It's cool, man. Like I said, some random, not so random here, man. So being obviously Jersey guy, and I know you're down in Central Jersey these days, so but Parkway to Turnpike when driving.
For me, I still love the Turnpike, man. It's the Parkway can be, especially for me going back to Essex County. It could be stop and go. You get caught up Union Toll Plaza areas, like forget about it. So I find the turnpike is a lot quicker.
Yeah. Great Adventure Action Park.
I have to go Great Adventure on that one. Great Adventure. Action Park was it was a little dangerous.
Yeah. Now make sure you keep this Jersey pass here. You said Great Adventure. What exit off the turnpike?
What exit off the turnpike is Great Adventure?
Yeah.
That's exit 8. What is it? 8A or 8?
Close 7A.
7A. Okay.
7A. Being around the oranges here, man. Sandwiches or White Castle?
Ooh, I gotta go sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
Sandwiches. Oh man, yo. Last time I went to sandwiches, they gave me a sub that was. I had to put both hands around that sucker. Yo, it was like crazy.
Yeah.
Cooper's too. Cooper's used to be the spot back.
Cooper's, Bragman's, everything. Yeah, absolutely.
That used to be the spot back in the days too.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna take you. Speaking of North, I'm gonna take you to North, kid. Dr. J's Universal.
Ooh, for me, Universal.
Okay.
So I wore. It's funny because back in the days they used to say, "Act your age, not your shoe size."
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like, "No, act your shoe size," because most times my shoe size was greater than my age. So I was 13, rocking a size 14 my freshman year. So for me, trying to find shoes in my size was challenging. So Universal. And
even at Universal, you got the height, man. So you could probably just grab your pair of jeans with the ease. You know how they had them piled up too. So
yeah, Universal used to take care of me. But
all right, then obviously being a parochial school guy, having to put on a pair of shoes. British or Bally's?
Ooh, British.
That's okay.
Sadly, again, because I think by the time I was sophomore year, I was rocking a 14. Mm-hmm. So I couldn't find. I had a pair of Bally's that I found in size 15. I couldn't find no British Walkers and no 14. Yeah. So, but yeah, I still love the British Walkers.
Oh no, I love them too. It was crazy. I had Lamar on here.
He
put me on hold and went to go grab his pair.
Now, over both of those, I have to say the Wallabies.
No, for Wallows, absolutely.
Because I had Wallows and blue. I think I had brown. I had blue. I had a couple of different colors, and I could always find my size in those. So.
Yeah, and that's my go-to shoe to this day, Reg. I got a bunch of I keep a pair of Wallies to this day, man. To this day. Now, the Immaculate over at Immaculate here. See if you remember even in some of these settings here. The bench or the balcony?
Wow. I say the balcony. Balcony was a fun time. Fun place.
Yeah, and we kind of knew with the bench, you probably was in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably was in trouble.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you probably if you was playing the bench, good chance it wasn't for a good. It wasn't for a good thing here.
Not at all.
Orange Park or Central Playground?
I'd say, wow. I would say Orange Park because I remember playing my high school years. I remember playing pickup games there more. Central Playground. When after I graduated, we would play pro-am games over in Central Playground. It's funny. One year I was playing over there, and Rod Strickland was on my team. And watching that dude in person, I'm like, man, his handle was sick, yo. He threw me a pass. He was looking like over on Central Avenue, and threw me a pass. I'm like, how did he even see me? So yeah, but I'd have to say, I got fond memories of playing pickups over in Orange Park back in high school.
Speaking of high school, let me ask. Speaking of playgrounds, man, how fun was it for you in particular to play in them summer leagues in Elmwood?
Elmwood, oh man, I had some good memories back in Elmwood. I had some good memories playing that. One of the fond memories of my growth and development, as a youth was just, again, playing in different settings, playing in different gyms, different venues, and meeting people. When you reached out to me, I mentioned the fact that, some of the cats that we used to play against, I run into him every now and again, and it's like, we exchange some of the memories, some of the stories of back in the days, and it's like there's a brotherhood. Like, I ran into D-Bob not so long ago.
From Scott, yeah, you went to Scott, right?
From Scott, yep. And him, and I ran into Ray. I was down in Weehawken one day, and I ran into Ray. He went to Clifford Scott
Ray
too.
Good, yeah.
Ray Good, and just catching up and reminiscing about old times, and playing against one another. So yeah, it's it was a good time because there was so much talent out there, especially back then, and just getting a chance to compete against brothers from different towns, what have you. But I think there was a common respect for everybody. So it was a fun time. It was a fun time.
Now, obviously you talked a lot about sports here, but like sports aside, man, what other interests you have, man?
So for me, I have always been interested in real estate.
Okay.
I always, and it's funny because my mother reminded me of this not too long ago. What was that? There was a teacher that was at Immaculate when we, Mr. Ionesco, I think was his name.
Okay.
I forget his name, but anyway, they gave us a project. He was marketing. I think marketing class is what he taught, and he had given us a project that we had to do some sort of a business letter, write a business letter for for something that we were interested in. And I remember I wrote a letter to the to HUD, to the Urban Development Agency, and I was talking to them about I had written a letter about developing the area, and there were so many abandoned buildings, and wanting to see like revitalization in the areas in which I grew up and was accustomed to. So that was always something, just revitalizing the area. And it's funny because now in Orange, down in the valley, there's been a big push of trying to revitalize that area. There's a couple of a couple of warehouses that used to be for which I didn't even realize. I just learned this recently. The nickname for the area was Hat City, because that was a big industrial area for hats back in the 1800s and what have you. And there were a couple of factories that had been abandoned, and now they're developing them into loft apartments. I was like, wow, this is kind of like what I wanted to see happen. So I'm looking at again, we have still have the house that I was born and raised in. I'm looking at picking up some additional properties, hopefully in the area, to try and revitalize the area, because it's kind of like it has sentimental value for me, being a product of the area. So I really want to see the community reestablished and revitalized.
Nah, that's crazy, Reg, for you even to share like that being an assignment back in high school, talking as far as a letter to HUD here, like 11th, 12th grade, whatever high school, I have no recollection of what HUD was, So for you to even just say that, man, that just stands out. That says something, man.
But yeah, no, like I said, the assignment was we had to find something that we were interested in, or passionate about, find a company or an agency or what have you, and write a letter or some sort of marketing campaign to see if we could get the interest of the agency. And for me, it was, like I said, it was HUD. It was, and my mom had to bring that to my recollection. I was like, I forgot about that. She was like, yeah, you've always been interested in urban revitalization, and homes and beautifying the areas. So I was like, wow, yeah. So yeah.
Nah. That's great, man. Immaculate or St. Francis?
Wow. I'd have to go with Immaculate. I mean, St. Francis, and to all those who might be watching from SFU, no offense, but Immaculate for me was a good time, because it was kind of like coming of age.
Okay.
And I was coming into young adulthood, young manhood, learning who I was, and learning a lot more about the world. Up until that point, I was really primarily, my experiences were fostered, in the Valley area. But that got me an opportunity to kind of, get out on my own, venture out on my own. I had to take 2 buses, crosstown bus, and then the Bloomfield Avenue just to get to school. So it was like, learning how to navigate through life. If you miss that last bus,
oh, you stuck. Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it taught me about, how to think for myself, how to be, self-reliant, self-sufficient, how to get someplace on time or be there early so I didn't miss the bus. So yeah, it taught me a lot of life lessons that I think still stick with me today.
Coach Ryan or Coach Fest?
Coach Ryan was hilarious. He was Coach Ryan. Coach Fest was. They were both great, but to me, Coach Ryan was like he reminded me like of an older brother more so than a coach.
Okay.
He was just. I remember. I never forget. There was one time he was playing with us. I think he was scrimmaging with us or something like that, and he would get out on the court and he was trying to let whomever know that he was open. He's throwing up his hands and going, and I'm like, oh my God, this dude is crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he 2 different personalities, but yeah, he was a wild boy.
Yeah. Remember first time you dunked?
The first time I dunked, I don't remember. But one time the first alley-oop I remember.
Yeah.
We were preparing for a pep rally, and Kobe Sanders. He was like, "Come on, man!" He was like, "You got to catch this. You got to catch this." So he would throw it up, and I was getting like I was over the rim. It wasn't like I was having a challenge of getting up there, but it was just the coordination of catching it and dunking it. But he threw it up one time, and I caught it and kind of like 180'd it. Man, it was the best feeling I had ever had up to that point. I'm like, wow. We gotta get that in the game.
Nah, definitely, man. Speaking of dunking, man, you got any memorable body that you caught? Anybody just throughout your life, college, high school, or
yeah? So one in particular, I remember we were playing Xavier University. Was this my? I think, yeah, this is my senior year. We were playing Xavier University, and they had Grant. What was his name? Grant. I forget his first name. He actually played. I think he played a couple of years in the league. But anyway, my point guard, Lil T, was my point guard at the time. He drove in the lane, and they collapsed on him and kicked it to me. I was on the baseline, kicked it to me, and I turned and caught. And anyway, I went up and caught, tomahawked it. And I think I had 2 players. It was Grant and there was one other guy that I caught it on. And I think I still have, I got a photo of that too. I got to get that. Matter of fact, I got to get that blown up. You just reminded me. I got to get that blown up until I post it. But yeah, it was, we actually won the game. We won the game was at St. Francis, and it was a big win for us. Because I think at that time they were I don't think they were top 25, but they were top 50.
Okay.
So it was a big win for us. But yeah, that was probably one of my most memorable.
Yeah. And speaking of memorable here, I mean, again, I know you don't play in a lot of games, man. Best game you ever played in your life, man, on any level. Does something stick out?
So here's a funny thought. So I remember I mentioned to you the fact that my offensive game came along later. I probably should have taken now or done like a lot of the kids do nowadays and reclassified. Move back a grade so I can or stay back a grade so I can so my game could have developed. But anyway, long story short, I had graduated from college from St. Francis, and it was the summer going into the fall. I was playing in a summer league over in Roselle, and trying to remember, I had a couple of guys. One of the brothers that I ran with at the time, he actually went overseas and played ball. Big Lock. He went to University of Maryland, Eastern Shore. But so anyway, we're playing in the summer league, and it just felt like, you know how the game when Jordan just put up his hands like he couldn't miss.
Yes.
It was one of those moments. It was like every shot that I took was going in. I remember I hit a half court shot right before the half, right at the buzzer at the half, from half court, nothing but net. I'm like, so it was just one of those things. It was just like everything was on. I was dunking, I'm making shots from three, from outside. It just felt like, you know, and it felt like, and I've heard professional athletes talk about, you know, these games where everybody else is going slow, and it just felt like I was going like 2 times faster than everybody else. But everybody, you know, it was just like unexplainable. Like it felt so good. Every time I touched the ball, every time, you know, I went to make a shot, take a shot, it was just money. So
yeah, nah, I hear you, man. Like as far as team, like best team you ever played on any sport or what have you, is it a team that for whatever reason?
Best team. So I would say, not that it was the best team, but I would say the most competitive team, the most fun team that I had the most fun with probably was was Immaculate back in my junior year.
Okay.
We that was the year that we played we beat Essex Catholic.
Okay.
We beat Essex Catholic over in Orange. Down in the valley, as a matter of fact. That's where they used to play their games, down in the valley. And that was a big rivalry for us. And you know, we were talking trash. We were going back and forth. It was a close competitive game, but it was just like, you know, we were going at it. You know, we were battling, no fear. You know, I think Lance was still on the team at the time, and Lee and Latish, and you know, we were just out there battling. Man. It was fun time. So that team, I would say, was probably one of my most memorable as far as just, you know, the competitiveness and the fun that we had.
Is there a game you like to have back? Just anywhere like that might cross your mind every now and then? Like, damn.
Yeah. So there were a couple of games, but I'd say in college, my last year we had a couple of games that I think we could have gone a lot farther than we went. And it was like, you know, we fell a little short. So knowing now what I knew then, I think I would have been a better student of the game. One of the things that I did was, you know, I worked on, you know, my skills as far as, you know, my handling and my ability to shoot. But I really needed to do a lot more film study and seeing, you know, how players position themselves, especially, you know, players that I was competing against. Seeing, you know, watching how they observe, how they position themselves, you know, what are some of their tendencies, what are some of their deficiencies, and being able to capitalize on it. That's one of the things that I try and teach, you know, or talk to players about. It's like, you know, be a student of the game. You know, learn, you know, your opponent as best as you can, and try and learn, you know, see how you can exploit some of the tendencies that they have. So I think I would have done a much better job of doing that.
Yeah. And
not one particular game, like I said, for the entire season. I think there was could have been, because we had some talented players my last year. You know, we could have gone a lot further than we did, but I think the mental aspect of the game probably was one that could have been refined a lot better.
Yeah. Let's clear this one up here. The years later, man. The better athlete, Reggie Lewis, Latish Kinsler, or Lee Mullins. Let's just get this up. Let's just clear this up once and for all, man.
I don't know that this would ever be cleared up, but you know, of course I'm gonna say myself. I think I was what was my vertical? I think I was like a 30-inch vertical. Now I know Latish would probably tell you he had a 40, but
yeah.
I don't think I ever saw that measure, so I can't, he can't prove that one. But no, I would have loved to have seen like what do you call triathlon
Okay.
with us back in the days to see. But I remember I got the President's Physical Fitness Award for push-ups and chin-ups, and
Yeah.
back in the day. Matter of fact, I still got the medal. So I don't know. If either one of those brothers ever got that, but I that's my claim to fame. I can say that.
Now, how crazy is it, man? Like, obviously that starting lineup, man. 3 of y'all, Division One athletes, scholarship athletes, man. Was it? I mean, that's a bond in itself. Like, did you guys throughout the years, even obviously in the college life? I know everybody was busy, but did y'all somehow find a way to stay in touch with one another?
Yeah. So Tish and I were close. It's funny.
Right.
It's ironic because I actually met his cousin at the football camp that I mentioned to you when I used to go back in the days. Offense defense. His cousin Che used to live over in Dodgetown, and
I'm a Dodgetown guy,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And I met him at the camp, offense defense. He played football back in the days too.
Mm-hmm.
So years later, we made the connection. I was like, okay, I started running with Tish. Mm-hmm. So he and I were close. Matter of fact, he was in my wedding when I got married. So he and I used to rock out hard. But Lee, I would run into every now and again, here and there. But our paths really didn't cross a lot. We actually reconnected when I was working over at Seton Hall, because the year after I started working over there, he joined up and he started working summer camps over at PJ Carlissimo. So we would get together, we would train and play and stuff like that. So it was, we always had a good connection, a good bond. So, and ironically enough, all three of us, are in the same zip code.
Yeah.
Down in Central Jersey. I'm like, we didn't plan it, but it just so happened.
Now, here's where you might get in some more trouble, man. You're all immaculate starting 5 basketball, man. What's yours? So it could be positionless too, man. So to make life a little easier.
Starting 5. All right. So I'm gonna go Lance Boston. I'm gonna go Lee Mullins. I'm gonna go. Wow. Kyle. I'm thinking Kyle. At the 3, I would probably go with it's going to be a toss-up between Tish or I was going to say Fred, but I'd probably go Tish at the 3, Kyle Douglas at the 4, and me at the 5.
Okay.
Me at the 5, yeah.
I mean, if you're struggling with one, man, you can always have a 6 man.
I would say 6 man. I would put man. It's crazy, man. It was a lot of talented players that came out of there, man.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of talented players that came out of Mac. I was gonna say excuse me. I was gonna say we got Ant, Rooney,
Now, were you there as freshman or what? With Ronnie Simpson, were you there when he was around?
I wasn't. I'm trying to think. Ronnie Simpson, I think, graduated. I think he either graduated the year before I came, or he may have been there my freshman year. But again, since I was out, half of the season, I really didn't make a connection. But But yeah, no, I never got a chance to see him play.
Yeah. Now, somebody who should have made it. I mean, that could just be from however you want to define made it. Somebody who should have made it from. It don't have to be immaculate. It could just be in general, man. Like someone you grew up with, or whatever the case may be.
It's crazy. There's a lot of cats, man, that had talent and didn't have the grades, or didn't have the opportunity, perhaps. there was I don't know if you remember brother from the park, Halim used to be over in East Orange.
Okay.
That Joker had he was a couple of years. I think Halim was probably like 3, maybe 4 years older than me.
Mhm.
But he had crazy hops.
Yeah.
He had go to the hole. He had he had a nice game,
Mhm.
but again, I don't know what his academics were like back in the days, but it was you could tell.
Mhm.
You could tell that wasn't part of his focus. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of cats that could ball, but again,
Mhm.
they didn't have either the discipline or the desire just to be focused on the academic pursuits too. So
Yeah. Now I know. Best part about being Reggie Lewis.
wow. So I think for me, again, my personality, I don't have a lot of friends, but the
Mhm.
ones that I have, I mean, they've been with me for from day one, and
Mhm.
I got a close knit group of guys. All of us are married and got families now, so it's
Yeah.
not like we don't get a chance to connect as often as we used to, but it's like we get together. And this is my brothers from college,
Yeah.
from elementary school. It's like when we get together, we connect. It's just like, oh man,
Mhm. Mhm.
it's like we never left. So for me, it's just the relationship that I've built over the years with brothers who are like minded and
Yeah.
have one another's backs.
Mhm. Now
So.
you mentioned your girls earlier, man, but what's the best part about being a father? I don't
um,
want you to choke on your water, man. Think about that.
it's funny, man. So when my girls were young, it was like, I walked through the door and they come running over me, grab me by the leg, daddy, daddy, daddy. And I'm like, oh man, I miss those days. Now sometimes I come through the door and they be like looking like, oh, it's him again. You
Yeah.
back? You
Yeah.
ain't left yet.
Yeah.
But nah, so it's good to see, as they're 16 now, so
Mhm.
the dynamics have changed, but seeing them grow into young adulthood, young becoming young lady. We had a sweet 16 party for them earlier this year, and seeing
Yeah.
them, um, starting to come into their own as far as their tastes and their dress and how they some of the friendships that they have and how they handle themselves out in the world. It's like, okay, I'm hoping that I poured some good knowledge into them to help them navigate this crazy thing of life in
Yeah.
the future. But yeah, I enjoy being a dad, uh, seeing them develop and hopefully imparting some wisdom
Mm.
into them. That's one of the things that I remember about my parents, my father and mother, being able to pour into me and help me understand who I am as a person
Mhm.
and kind of what my contributions to life can be.
And speaking of life here, I
Yeah.
know you got many of them, but three of your best moments of your life up to this point. We got a lot more living to do, Reg, but up to this point,
Wow.
three of it.
For me, it's been a number of blessings. I'm fortunate and happy that I've been able to experience life again as a college graduate,
Yeah.
as a former athlete,
Mhm.
uh, now as a person in corporate America. Working in a managerial position. Being a leader of people. And being able to help navigate the business world. Being a father,
Yeah.
being
Yeah.
that's I think that for me was like one of the things on my bucket list that when it happened, I was like, wow, it's here.
Mm.
I got people that are looking up to me that need me. So I'm like, I gotta make certain that
Yeah,
I'm
you,
here.
you can't
That I
you can't return them.
can't return. No, no.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is big responsibility, but I
Mhm.
I'm thankful that I've been blessed with that opportunity.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Take
And
care. Go ahead.
yeah, no, I was just gonna say, and being able to share life, with them, and my mom, my pops unfortunately passed away, so you never got a chance to meet them. But having my mom in their lives and being able to see them and see some of the things that some of the same things that they do now, and reminding me of some of the things that I did when I was a kid. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
don't be too hard on them, because when you did this, that, and the third. I'm like, okay, all
Nah,
right, all right.
I could definitely relate to that. Nah,
Yeah,
absolutely. You don't want to. Nah, I could definitely relate to that, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You have a daughter as
I
well.
have a daughter. Yeah, but she's half the age. She's 8. She's 8. So,
Nice.
but I can relate to that. Just like, you know what, some of the stuff I did, and you try to find that sweet spot, that balance with all of
Right,
that stuff
right,
too,
right,
man. Because the stuff that you did that, like, hey, all right, oh,
right.
you just shake your head like, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
what you
exactly.
gonna do? Book on your life. What would you call it?
Mm. Um, so I think it would be something corny, like getting stronger, or getting better. I think for me, it's always been about this is not the end of the line for me. This is not
Hmm.
the final presentation, so to speak.
Yes.
There's always a greater Reggie Lewis that I can aspire to become. So I'm
Hmm.
always looking to get better, get stronger, get more knowledgeable.
Hmm.
I've been blessed with the ability to fellowship with some brothers at my
Yeah.
church, who are trying to help me walk this walk of from a moral perspective, and
Hmm.
get back a little, closer to God, and what, the direction that He would have me to go. So, I'm just trying to continue to build upon who I am, and help to spread some joy in the world. That's it. So for me, I think
Nah.
I think the title would be getting better.
And speaking of this point in your life here, this Reggie, where you at in your life here? What advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior in high school Reggie? What advice would you give him?
The same advice that I give my daughters: use your time wisely.
Yeah,
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 it's
yeah.
crazy. When I think back, you asked some riveting questions about my training, and my development, especially as a young athlete. If I could talk to myself, I would say get your A up off the couch, stop watching,
Mm-hmm.
Flintstones and Little Rascals and all the
Mm-hmm.
cartoons, and Sanford and Son, and go outside and work on, developing yourself, work on, you know, maturing yourself, work on, getting yourself stronger and better, and because again, I think I took, especially early on, I was lax somewhat,
Mm-hmm.
because of the fact that I had some height, and I had some athleticism, and I was able to get to do some things, accomplish some things on the court, but not just resting on those laurels. Get up, and be more deliberate as far as developing yourself, and help
Mm-hmm.
make this thing go as far as you can, as far as you can. So I think that would be the best piece of advice for myself, is use your time wisely.
And it's interesting. I know we just talked about your girls a little bit. Now, you having to go on that track as far as, I mean, should basketball be their thing they want to pursue here? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you knowing a little bit about it, just the whole process now, I know that probably helps you a lot, because I know you talked about even a lot of people when I do this, one of the things is kind of like they didn't have nobody in their ear or nobody to guide them through that
Right.
whole recruiting process. So
Right.
now it might be a little more, I won't say necessarily more easier, but a little more, a little more less stressful probably because you went through it.
Well, yeah, it's funny. So they're at the point now where they don't really know. I think they have some doubts, and some they're kind of like on the fence, because they're like, well, we don't know if this is something that we want to do in
Mm-hmm.
college or not. We don't know if we're good enough to do it in college or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, like I said, they're entering their junior year, and they're starting to see, girls. Some of the girls that they played with and played against are starting to get offers from various universities, and
Mm-hmm.
they're like, so and so. It's funny. We had a conversation just last night, and they were like, so and so got an offer from this school, and they were like, I was like, yeah. They were like, you know, I think I'm just as good as she is. I played against her, and held my own. It's like, well, again, if this is something that you want to do, you got to, you can't be, you shouldn't doubt yourself as far as, what you're able to achieve. So yeah, it's like, I'm starting to see where the light bulb is starting to turn on for them. And I'm like, okay, again, if this is something that you want to do, you got to, be deliberate, be intent on making it, and let it go where it goes. No fear.
That's right.
No fear. So
that's right.
So yeah, so I'm hoping that again, this is something, and I always said to myself, I don't want to be one of those parents that push them or makes them, or I'm trying to make them do, because I don't want them. I'm like, I live my life. As far as basketball, I'm like, I had that experience. I lived my life. So if this is something that you want to do, let it be because you want to do it, not because your dad did it, or your mom played in high school. I'm like, let it be because it's something that you want to do. So I'm trying to let them, kind of like come into their own, but also I'm kind of trying to give them insight and give them some knowledge from my experience as to where they should be doing, where they should be devoting some energy and time. But yeah, one of the things that I'm privileged to be able to do is to record and videotape. One of the things that I do is the assistant coaches to record some of the games. So I'm going through the process now of editing the videos and starting to package them together so we can try and send them out to some schools and see if we can get some interest. They've been getting some letters from some small D2s and D3 schools thus far, but I told them this fall we're gonna take a college tour.
Yes.
Go out, start to look at different universities. What kind of what is it that they want? A larger university, a smaller school. What do you start looking at? What the admission rates are. For African Americans. Get some knowledge and insight there, because again, that was that was a wake up call for me when I stepped onto St. Francis then college, now university. I'm like, whoa. I felt like a fly in milk. I'm like, man, this is different. So just trying to find an atmosphere that they're going to flourish in and be their best.
And it's crazy. I'm sure you probably echo this. It's probably more exciting you doing all this for your girls than when you was in it.
Yeah. So because again, hindsight is always 2020. I knowing what I went through and also seeing some of the brothers that one of my good friend of mine, a teammate from St. Francis, Antoine Patterson, his son Trey is a player at Villanova. Trey Patterson. So,
that's the young man that went to Rutgers Prep or something, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Antoine and I were teammates for 3 years up at St. Francis. So, seeing how Trey went through and that whole dynamic. Now Trey is 6'8", 6'9", so the recruiting experience for him is a little different than what my girls are going through. But nonetheless, just understanding some of the dynamics as far as what that's all about, and being able to navigate has been helpful. So.
Yeah. My last question, man. What would your parents say about you now, man?
Oh man. Well, it's funny because I mentioned my pops died a month before 9/11. So, father was a big part of my life. I always looked up to my dad, and wanted to emulate him, wanted him to be proud of me. So I'm hopeful that if he's looking down on me, he would be happy and of the man that I have become, the father, the husband that I've become. Not that I'm perfect by any means, because I'm learning and trying to navigate, and do better. Like I said, get better. With the title of my book, but I think I'm hoping that he would be proud of the man that I've become. My mom, fortunately, is still with me, and she's a matter of fact, I was over there today. I had to push back our meeting because
all good, man. All good, man.
I was over there taking care of some stuff that some landscaping that she was trying to get done. So I was a little late, but yeah, I think I know that she's pleased with the man that I've become, and I think she ultimately she wants me to step into my best life, live my best life. So she wants me to. I got a lot of stuff going on. She wants me to kind of like focus on, what is it that's going to make me happy? What is it that's going to bring me the biggest satisfaction in my life? And what's, live my best life. So.
Nah, definitely, man. Reg, man, I shared this, my little intro thing, man. When I was just talking, I just like, though it was only a 1 year me being at Immaculate and freshman, you senior, man. Like one of the coolest people, like I knew at that time here when I'm trying to, 13, 14 years old, trying to figure life out, man. And, I got all these giants, ahead of me, man. Like I said, I know I mentioned you. I mentioned obviously the other guys as well, but your whole class, man, was just like, that bar was like crazy high. And then I know in regards into actually the whole playing piece, man, I don't remember the person it was, man, but I remember you punching somebody's shit into the balcony. I can't remember who it was, man. But I just like, but that right there, I was like smart enough to know, like, don't go nowhere in the paint with any little cute floaters or anything like that, man, because that'll end up there. That'll end up there as well. Yeah.
I think I held a block record at Immaculate for quite some time. I'm not certain who took it down, but I remember seeing it. And St. Francis too. I had a block record. I think I might be like 8th or 9th on the list of all time block list. But yeah, that was one of the fortes of my game: blocks, rebounds, and playing defense. That was a staple, like I said. But nah, man, I appreciate the.
Real quick, no, I ain't finished, Reg. I ain't finished,
okay.
Man. I just wanted to say, as far as just the person you was back then, you obviously you the person that person now, just for more growth and evolution to you, man. I thank you for being one of those guys. I can try model, or like I said, I will never catch or surpass, but just basically just giving me that focus and just kind of like of a black man, just to at such a young age to look up to, and just kind of somebody that's had his head on straight, man, and just kind of just making sure, like, as I'm trying to figure it out, I still had some of those guys that, even though we might not have talked often or whatever the case is,
right.
but it was still, like I said, you was one of those guys, like, I definitely looked up to. And I just wanted to say thank you, man.
Hey, man, thank you, brother. It's funny because when Jim first mentioned to me that you were doing these podcasts, I'm like, oh man, that's a beautiful thing. I'm like, Iv is doing this thing. I always remember you as being you was like, cool little brother, man. You were even as a freshman, I just remember you having like this presence about you, and you was like, you weren't, to me, it didn't seem like you were a freshman. It felt like like you were upperclassmen, what I'm saying, even as a young man. So like you said, I didn't get a chance to connect with you often, but yeah, every time I remember coming into contact with you, it was like, this is a cool little brother right here. You're gonna be all right.
Nah, thank you, man. And I owe you a game, man. I mean, bringing my little girl, like I said, as many females I could get her around, as far as whether it's athletics or any other walks of life, man. I try to put her around just so she could just be around it, man. We actually, being in Connecticut, and I actually just took her to her first WNBA game. The Connecticut sent up here, man, and she had a blast. So, but like I said, I owe you a game, and like I said, everybody's down there, moms, pops, everybody's still in Jersey. So I gotta make a beeline to Franklin. I know I'm opening a can of worms here, because I know there's a few other people out in that area. But I got 2 years to do it, man.
Okay.
But thank you for this time, Reg.
Thank you, Ed. I appreciate it, man. And no doubt, if we make it up to Connecticut for any tournaments, I'll be certain to look you up.
Please do.
All right.
Reg. I'll be in touch, man. Take care.
God bless, brother.
Back at you, Reg.
All right, man.
Peace, man. Peace. Good stuff, man. Like, Reg, great guy. You know what I mean? And I think just still a solid brother that he was back then. Same individual that I looked up to back then as well, too. So, Reg, thank you for just taking some time out to, just share a little bit of your walk here, man. That being said, I'm just going to step aside. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.